What is up, y'all? Got a text. Sorry, but I have something on here I want to read to you guys. Um, is anybody like their own worst enemy? Raise your hand real quick if you're your own worst enemy. Actually, let me do. Here we go. Because I definitely am mine. I'm my biggest self-critic. I'm my biggest. I talk the most shit to myself. I'm the meanest to myself. I'm the most critical of myself, and I judge myself more than I'm sure anybody in the world does. Right? Anybody else do that? I bet you a lot of you raised your hands, or at least if you didn't raise your hand, I bet you're thinking it in your head. And I told you guys probably a few videos ago, and I've said it a few times, right? I saw this quote one time that always it's something that like I think is just the most powerful thing, and it's so true. And it's for us if we want to achieve, if we want to be who we want to be, we can't let our worst enemy live between our own two ears here, right? We just can't. Otherwise, that's all you're going to hear constantly. And who better to believe than yourself? Who knows you better? I'd argue that there's probably people, maybe my wife, who knows me better than myself because sometimes, I don't think so rationally. Anybody else like that? But for my whole life, I was always critical of myself, and I was always very judgmental. And anything anybody said to me, it just affected me and tore me down so bad, man, and messed with my self confidence. And I got this dialogue in my head, this theme that basically I was this person that everybody was saying I was. I was. For me, it was my weight. I was overweight, and so I was this chubby, unathletic, kid who didn't have the cool clothes, and eventually the kid who didn't have even a home, and that was that. Only until I started playing football did people like cut me some slack, but that's not what it should have taken. You shouldn't have to be good at sports or good at something exceptional for people to accept you for who you are. And you definitely shouldn't have to for you to accept you for who you are, because you are amazing. No matter who I'm talking to right now, who's listening to this video, you're amazing. You are. And if you really step back and think about all the good things that you bring to life, to other people's lives, I sat and talked with you, a couple of you this morning, and it made my whole day, like literally made my whole day, made me so happy, and just sets me up for a good day just talking to you guys. Anyway, for me, it's only been in the past few years that I've started to think about this. So I changed my mindset, and I'm still not there. And like I tell you guys with everything, you're not going to be fully there. You're never going to come to a point where you're like, oh, I achieved everything that I needed to achieve with that, and now I'm done, and I never have to work on it again. That's not life. Life is, some days are great, and we do really well with our skills, and we have better days controlling our anger and our emotions. Or we can stave off that depression and that anxiety. But other days, man, it just runs us over like a train, and that's life. That's okay. But for me, I really started to concentrate, or tried to start to concentrate on, rather than a defeating mindset, I really wanted to take on a mindset of growth. I'm 42 years old. I'm still growing. I'm not physically. Well, maybe like out a little bit, or a lot bit. But, physically I'm not growing, but I'm always growing mentally and emotionally. I'm always growing in that regard, and you should too. Never stop. Never ever be satisfied, and never think that you have to have it all figured out, because that's just not realistic. So don't stress about it. Give yourself a break. But rather than that defeatist mindset, which I heard from a couple of you this morning actually, and it broke my heart, because I hope you figure it out a lot sooner than I did, because it was torture for many years, just beating myself up, man, for no reason. There are plenty of people in this life who are going to try to beat you down and bring you down a peg, and verbally just take it to you, and you have enough of those folks. You don't have to do it to yourself. Don't let your worst enemy live between your own two ears. Break the cycle. Break the cycle. So growth mindset, what does that mean? Well, I wanted to read you a couple things that I came across this morning, and I was like, man, I've been saying these things to myself my whole life, and instead I could have cut myself some slack and tried to say it differently, and maybe I wouldn't have been under so much pressure and been so mad at myself and thought I was such a loser or an idiot or whatever. I tried this with my kids a lot, especially my youngest son, who, for some reason, he's very, very critical of himself. And, I'm glad that on this list that I'm looking at least, that I'm following a lot of this growth mindset that I'm trying to instill, not only in myself, but in my son and you as well. So I'm going to read you a few things. Okay. Here we go. Success begins with believing you can, first off, right? You got to believe it. And if you don't, then what's the point? So you have to believe it. But here we go. When you say, I can't do this, when you look at something and you're just like, I can't do this, when you're detained and you're thinking, man, I can't make 30 days, I can't do this, can't keep it together, I can't maintain honors level, I can't get to honors level. You can. And instead of saying, I can't do this, now you're saying, I'm still learning, I'm going to keep trying. Because you are. You're always learning. Every single human being is always learning, or at least they should be, because that's growth. We should never, ever stop learning. Learning is my favorite. That's why I'm going to school for like the umpteenth time in my life, is I just enjoy learning. I'm afraid of making a mistake. Whoa, definitely. This guy, definitely afraid of making a mistake. But here's the thing, and this is a growth mindset. Mistakes are how I learn and grow, and that is absolutely correct. 100% correct. I've seen it happen a million times over my own life and with other people. I've learned more from making mistakes in my life than I have from doing things right the first time and never having to actually really even think about it. This is too hard. Man, you guys are probably thinking that a lot, right? You're thinking that in school. You're thinking that at home. You're thinking that in counseling sessions where you got to actually like really dig deep and try to work through some traumas and all that stuff. And rather than saying this is too hard, with more practice, it will get easier. And that is 100% true as well. The more we become accustomed and comfortable with things, the easier those things become, the more they become part of our daily life. This is going to be a long video, guys. I'm sorry, but it's worth it. Rather than saying I give up, tell yourself, I'll try in a different way. Because, I love nothing more. I love nothing more than a person who just keeps getting up. A person, whether it's physically, yesterday my youngest son got knocked down on the ice probably 24 times in one game, but that dude kept getting up and he was fiery, man, and he just kept trying different things and he'd get knocked down again, and it's the most proud I've ever been of him on the ice. I don't care about goals. I don't care about any of that. It's the fact that he kept getting up and kept trying it in a different way. That's growth mindset right there, baby. Rather than telling yourself, I don't know how, and then just throwing your hands up and saying, screw it, I can learn how, because you can. And man, I'm living proof. I've learned over life a lot of things that I didn't think were ever possible just because of my self-limiting attitude. And with a growth mindset, I've changed that, definitely. I'm not good at this. What can I learn to be better at this? And then when you look at other people and compare yourself, like I do constantly, or at least I did, they are better at this than I am. Well, what can I learn from them is a growth mindset. When you look at people and say, what can I learn from them? You guys have known a lot of people who have come into this facility and they have, from day one, they've maintained behavior that has just been spot on, right? It's not easy to them. It's definitely not easy. It took some work, but they got on honors level and they just hung out on honors level the whole time. They were leaders and their impressions last here. And I talked to a lot of them. They're out doing good, man. They didn't take it lightly. They came in here, they did the hard work, they had a growth mindset, and they came out better for it. And now they're working, they're going to school, they're playing sports, they're doing all the things, man. And they grew. They broke a cycle. That's what this is. It's all about cycle breaking, the whole thing. Growth mindset, growing out of the old cycles, the things that kept you down, and forming new cycles. Healthy and productive cycles, and you can do it. And I don't care the trauma that you've been through. I do care the trauma that you've been through. Obviously, I care. But I don't care as far as it limiting you, because it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. Take it from this dude, right? You guys watched the documentary last week. You saw a little bit or heard a little bit about what I've been through, and that's only scratching the very, very small surface on things that I experienced at your age. And I'm telling you what, I had that defeatist mindset for a long time. I got into a growth mindset. Things are different on the other side, but it's all about you. You got to start. It starts with you, right? So do it. Let's break the cycle, baby, and let's get this life underway, because you guys have it in you. I talk to you, and I see cycle breakers every single time. And I trust you that you're going to do it, man, because you're in it together, right? We're in it, all in it together, every day. Some better than others, some not so great, but overall, we keep getting up. We keep growing, keep breaking the cycles. See ya.